Is this really a fantastic season, or is it just nostalgia? Okay, this is going to be a long one. Grab a cuppa, grab a biscuit packet you hid away in the cupboard, get a blanket, I don't care if it's hot, pretend it's winter and snuggle up, because we're jumping into it. This is a new series of videos where I'll be analysing each series of Doctor Who from 2005 all the way to the present day. We'll look at the good, the bad, and the Peter K, while looking into why certain audience latched onto certain eras and why for others it left them cold. So today we're travelling all the way back to 2005, where everything seemed a little bit easier and one Welsh wizard was about to change the lives of kids all over the country. This is Doctor Who Series 1. Starting off, I honestly can't imagine the stress the entire creative team must have been under while making this series. I mean, sleepless nights doesn't cut it, they must have been bricking it. It's no overstatement to say that people expected Doctor Who to fail, and by people, I mean the media, the papers, the tabloids. They were expecting this to flop, and fans probably were too. Doctor Who had been off the telly for years at this point, and let's be honest, it's easy to get this show wrong. Then they announced that the new companion was going to be played by pop star Billie Piper, which would have felt like a wild choice. Christopher Eccleston was a completely different vibe for the Doctor that had come before. It was being led by the guy that wrote Queer as Folk, a fantastic writer, but not someone you immediately think of for BBC Tea Time Adventures. It very easily could have died on its arse. And yet, it's probably one of the greatest seasons of the show. Definitely one of the most consistent. But why? Why did Series 1, a series where they were really finding their feet, work so well? One of the main reasons, I think, is because it understood what it needed to be. There was no worrying about the evil mouse, it wasn't interested in trending on TikTok or creating viral moments. Its main priority was to capture the imaginations of families on a Saturday night. Instead of trying to compete with Star Wars or Marvel, it had to compete with Ant and Dec. The legacy, the importance of the franchise or the IP wasn't the driving factor. It just had to be good. It had to live in the moment. They had no idea if it would be picked up for a second season, let alone 15 seasons with specials and spin-offs and awful video games, and don't start commenting that actually this game is good. No, it's not. You're lying to yourself. And it didn't rely on the past. Yes, the show had ran for years before, it had an identity and a rich lore, but they knew that wouldn't work. It had to be new and exciting for people who had never heard of the show, for a new generation. It had to be the ultimate jumping on point. No one is interested in being told something's good or iconic, it had to earn that status again. And because of all those factors, I think it's probably the best jumping on point the show has ever produced. We've had a few attempts through recent years of starting again. We've heard showrunners or the cast talk about introducing it to new fans or a new jumping on point, but the issue is it's never been treated as such again in the same way. And I think that's because it's never been as exciting for the creative team as 2005 was. I know I said it must have been stressful, but God, it must have been fun. Imagine the pure joy of knowing you're bringing your favourite show back. You get to write the TARDIS introduction for the first time in years, and the majority of your audience aren't going to know what to expect. Kids at home will be saying the iconic line along with the character. It's bigger on the inside. You don't have to worry about reinventing this scene or making the TARDIS even bigger to shock people. The joy and the whimsy is enough. And Series 1 relishes in these moments. It treats them like new and exciting ideas rather than just a blueprint or a checklist of the show. It's bigger on the inside is not just a cliche or a trope, it's a revelation. And speaking of tropes, the Doctor is a character that I think is very easy to get wrong, and if not wrong, definitely a bit off. Because as a character, the Doctor fits in many different archetypes. They're the hero, the one that swoops in and saves the day. They're also the crazy scientist that speaks lots of technobabble that most of the other characters don't understand. They're also the quirky one, the person that says random things. They're sometimes the comic relief, other times they're dark and mysterious, and as the actor and the writers change, the vibe of the character changes too. And that's a good thing, it allows the show to adapt and feel fresh. However, it also means it's very easy to slip into tropes or very basic traits, and actually some of my least favourite episodes of the show do this. In closing time, the Doctor is just wacky with a capital W, and I find him insufferable. And these cliches, they stick into public consciousness, definitely for casual fans who may dip in and out of the show. So when Doctor Who was coming back, people already had an idea of how this character would be portrayed. One paper started the rumour that it was going to be Paul Daniels, the magician, the wacky magic man. And I get why people believe this. If you look at the classic series on a very basic level, it kind of makes sense. You have the Doctor with a long scarf, the vegetable-wearing Doctor, the Doctor that skinned the Teletubbies and wore them for his own pleasure, the question mark Doctor. Yes, the writing and the performances are much richer than that, but those are the things people remember. So the one thing no one was expecting was a PTSD leather jacket Doctor, a darker, more grounded, wounded adventurer. Still whimsical, still alien, but quieter, brooding, and most importantly, real. Everything he does is attached to his arc, his grief and his loneliness. He's not wacky, he's just not human. And he's not quirky, he's just genuinely funny. He's the hero in our story without being a superhero. There's no prophecies that define him, no baggage of past performances or stories. He's just the next incarnation of this character, but the first version most viewers will meet. And his arc of being the last of the Time Lords doesn't feel like just a storyline tacked on, but instead is embedded deeply into the writing and performance of the character. So much so that I know a lot of new viewers thought he had always been the last of the Time Lords and got a shock when they watched some classic episodes and saw these curtain-wearing poshos. His loss and pain is treated as seriously as it would be in a standard adult drama. The monsters and the campiness are there too, of course, that's what makes the show so good, but both parts complement the other rather than clashing. And this is why the character of Rose works so well too. She and the Doctor complement each other. Their relationship is the crux of the whole series. Right, there are some fantastic companions in the classic era, so don't get me wrong when I'm saying this. However, there's also a lot of blueprint characters who are there because the show just needs them to be. Their backgrounds and lives before the Doctor are rarely explored, and some of them are merely there to ask questions and scream. However, the companion really is the audience surrogate. We witness these wonders and thrills of the universe through their eyes. We relate to their joy, their shock and fear. And, as this was a new era, introducing the core elements to a whole new generation, this role had never been so important. And that's why Rose works so well in this series. She's relatable without being bland. She is so full of character and flaws, actual flaws, characters with flaws. Why don't we have characters with flaws anymore? We understand her wants, her aspirations, the feeling of being young and drifting through life. Her family and her boyfriend again are flawed but real. They feel like people who you'd see on a normal London council estate. And even the estate feels like a character in itself. It feels real. It's not overplayed or made ridiculously rough for dramatic effect like a lot of dramas do. It's just a normal London estate where normal families live. And this world, the relationship to the Powell estate, is why so many people feel connected to these characters. We talk a lot about someone's first Doctor, but for many, Rose and her family were their first companions. And this normality of family, of eating chips and watching telly, blended so well with the whimsy of the show that it created its own sort of identity. This wasn't a heavy sci-fi show like Star Trek, but it wasn't a usual BBC kitchen sink drama either. It was a blend of both, something for the whole family. And the Tylers, they didn't need a mystery or world-shattering event to feel important. It was their family dynamic. The very real difficulties of a young adult wanting more from life while her mum's just happy how she is. A loss in the family where grief has kind of gone unspoken for years. It feels so raw that many viewers can identify with that feeling. We felt for Rose, for Jackie, for Mickey sometimes, and we understand their perspectives. So when a strange time-travelling alien crashed into their lives, it didn't feel like these characters only existed for the Doctor. Instead, the Doctor was just a continuation of everything they've already lived through. But my favourite thing about Rose, a trait that they give her that so many franchises now refuse to do, is she's a little bit of an arsehole. I spoke about this a little bit in my Jurassic Park video, please go check that out, the views have been dire. But a lot of franchises now seem afraid to make a character we're meant to like anything but perfect. And even when they mess up massively, it's treated like either a joke or a completely understandable accident. We're never meant to hold it against them. And I've seen this in so many franchises lately and I can't stand it because it's boring. I want characters to be messy, to say the wrong things, to make the wrong choices. And unlike a certain scene in the later series, I want it to have consequences. I want the character to regret or to change or to be told off or lose. I want characters to lose. And Rose constantly does all of these things. The way she treats Mickey throughout the series is at times a hard watch, but it's perfectly character-driven moments. Rose is young, a little naive, bored, and suddenly this man drops out of the sky and shows her the universe and it changes her. She becomes selfish and daring and a little reckless, both with her actions and words. She constantly flips between not wanting anything to do with Mickey to wanting his full attention, because she's young, and young people who are going through massive changes in life can be cruel. But of course, it's always nice to know someone finds you attractive, so she keeps him there. She wants to be wanted. But her actions have consequences. He starts seeing someone else and she doesn't like it. She challenges him, calls him out for his behaviour without ever stopping to think about hers. So he tells her. He breaks down and has a go at her, and she finally sees how her actions have affected the ones around her. And then she still chooses the Doctor. That is just great character writing through and through. It allows an audience to form their own opinions on the character and doesn't worry about some people judging or disliking her. But good characters are nothing without a good story. So what are they like? The first 5 episodes feel like the show is just having fun, showing off everything that Doctor Who can and would eventually be. From shop dummies crashing through London to a VIP alien party in the stars, the show never held back. It introduced its main appeal within the first 3 episodes, travelling far in the future in episode 2 and then travelling back in time in episode 3. And it's in this first half of the season that we really see everything that the RTD era was going to be. Fun and campy, spooky at times, with a heavy focus on Earth-based stories, where the audience will come back each week for the characters rather than a heavily detailed story arc. Also, there was no mistaking that this was a British show. I don't see people talking about this much, but the iconography in the first series is excellent. From the London Eye to the Slovene ship crashing into Big Ben in the Thames, London was very much used like Hollywood uses American landmarks in their blockbusters. And this was incredibly exciting. It seems a bit silly to say now, but back in 2005, there wasn't anything like this on telly, let alone BBC One tea time viewing. But there's one episode that I think cemented this series and the era as a whole as not only the perfect jumping on point, but also a blueprint of how to bring back classic elements of the show. Also, really quickly, I'm currently recording this video in 30 degrees heat with all the windows closed and the fans off so you can hear me. So if you're liking this video, please give it a like, because if you don't, you will forever be an arsehole. So fucking hot. Dalek is still seen as one of the greatest Dalek episodes we've ever gotten in the show, and it's easy to see why. It's simple in premise, but executed marvellously. It's a base under siege full of tension and horror while still keeping character at its core. Because what Dalek doesn't do is just tell the audience that we should fear the Daleks. It doesn't expect you to care that they're iconic monsters from the past. Of course, old fans will get a thrill from seeing one of these killing machines on screen again, but the episode never falls into treating itself as a gimmick. The Daleks are not just the Doctor's greatest foe because they've always been. Instead, they're recontextualized for the modern era with the introduction of the Time War. The Time War is a reason we should fear the Daleks now. It's a reason why our lead character fears them now, and it allows both old fans and new fans to be reintroduced to these iconic monsters. The audience goes on this journey together. Yes, there's a few little Easter eggs throughout the episode. The Cyberman head is a lovely little nod to the past, but it never treats the new fans as stupid. It never leaves those who've never seen the show before lost in the dark or confused with multiple callbacks that don't really mean anything. The Time War builds on the Daleks' legacy while creating a whole new one, and the decision to only have one Dalek in the whole episode is probably why this story stands out so much above the others. We aren't just told that the Daleks are deadly, we witness it time and time again as this one bronze soldier kills every extra in sight. We're not just told the Doctor is scared, we see it. 9 acts in a way we haven't seen before, and honestly in a way we never kind of see again. His anger, pain and fear is evident throughout the whole story. It's not treated like an afterthought, but instead the driving force behind the whole episode. For example, if we take this moment from Empire of Death, 15th Doctor's first final featuring the return of classic villain Sutekh, we very quickly realise why Dalek works and Empire doesn't. In Empire, we are treated to what feels like an incredibly long scene of the Doctor watching a previous adventure on BBC iPlayer while telling his new friend why he finds it so scary. It's basically the Doctor reacting to Doctor Who. And the episode comes to an entire halt in this moment and the stakes are non-existent, even though moments before we just saw the whole universe turn to dust. It doesn't carry over into this scene. Instead, it pauses while we have a little moment to tell us why we should care while catching new viewers up on the show's lore and classic era. Instead, Dalek does this, and ends like this. The Doctor's fear changes him and suddenly the viewer and Rose see him in a whole different light. The Time War isn't just a fun plot thread that is dangled in the air. It has consequences that affect this whole story, both in terms of plot and character. We don't fear and care about the Daleks because of what's come before, we're invested in them now because of what's happening in the moment. We don't need to be told to care because it's impossible not to. The Doctor is a man who lost his entire race, his entire planet to these killing machines and is now suddenly faced with them again after thinking he wiped them all out. It's drama at its most compelling and I love it. And while the Time War is a storyline that will span for multiple years and eras, Series 1 also has another arc that pops up nearly every episode. Bad Wolf. 2 words that pop up every episode leading to the final. A nice little plot device that will go on to be used again and again and again and again. Sometimes it's phrases, sometimes it's old women, and sometimes it's bumblebees. Doctor Who loves this device, is addicted to it, and it means to go to rehab. And usually when a show tries to do the same or similar thing again and again and again and again, is because it didn't work the first time and they've thought of a way to improve it. However, Bad Wolf is probably the best it's ever been used. Because the Bad Wolf technique of a story arc isn't complicated. There's nothing to get wrong, really. It's just 2 words that pop up a lot. It's a fun story device, that's it. It's a nice little thing to look out for when watching for the first time. And when I watched the series with my partner's cousin recently, he got so excited when he realised the 2 words kept popping up and it was really fun to see. So it's nice. Is it groundbreaking? No, but it works. And the resolution of this arc really works for me. Yes, it's a bit of an ex machina and yes, this era loves them, but here it works. It's rooted in character like most of the series, so it doesn't stand out to me like others do. We'll get to this one another day. If anything, the better connecting arc throughout the series is how little moments and story beats all come together at the end. The Daleks return, this time with an army, the ending of Boomtown links to the resolution of Bad Wolf, Rose meeting her dad on Father's Day is the reason Jackie helps her in parting of the ways, the final taking place on Satellite 5 like the long game. Okay, let's talk about the long game. I've been putting off talking about the long game. I don't want to talk about the long game, but I'm going to talk about the long game. The episode isn't bad. I don't hate it. It's alright. It's fine. It's meh.
It's moo.
Honestly, its worst crime is that it's boring. Like, the writing is good, all the concepts are strong, but it just drags. It feels slow in a way that no other story in this series does, and it sets up the final perfectly. The payoff in episode 12 is great, but I just wish this episode was more fun, or darker, or something. Adam is quite a boring character, the side characters don't really grab my attention at all. Simon Pegg is good, but kinda wasted. The Jagrafess is fun, but he is just a ceiling with teeth. It's fine. Honestly, if this episode is one of your favourites, please comment and tell me why, because I don't get it. Like, I get the episode, I just don't get people who love the episode. So I'd like to know why you do, if you do. But that's kind of the only low point for me. Yes, the Slovene fart, but that's fine. They're farting, snivelling politicians. Honestly, they should have gone further. Have them shit. Boomtown is fun, it's Doctor Who doing the sitcom genre, and it works better than a lot of other attempts. Just you wait until I have to talk about closing time. This is the second time I mentioned it in this video. I bloody hate closing time. If you've watched any of my Doctor Who videos, you will know I love me a monster. So in each of these videos, we'll be looking at the monsters of the series and to see how they're used and if it gets a pass or a fail from me. And I'm not going to drag this out. Series 1 passes on the monster front. I mean, just look at it. It's crammed full of amazing aliens and monsters. It also just has a lot of little ideas sprinkled about. The robot spiders, the space pig, the controller. This freaked me out as a kid. I found it so unsettling and I still do today. It's horrible. All these monsters were so well crafted and written that it's no surprise that action figures were made immediately. The monsters were on the front page of the magazines, of the posters, kids were playing them in the playground. It was so brilliantly done, all of them with catchphrases and scary moments, and they just hit the nail on the head first time. I don't understand why so many following seasons have failed at this front when the first one does it perfectly. And it's why Series 1 is basically a perfect season of television. It's exciting, fresh, and for an era that is still finding its feet, it sticks the landing almost immediately, and the whole thing is capped off with the perfect farewell. Now, I love the Ninth Doctor. I think he's such a wonderful version of the character. And although I understand why people say they wish they had another series with him, in a story sense, I'm kind of glad we didn't. I think having the Doctor regenerate in this series is the perfect way of cementing the show's main staples. You leave this season knowing everything you need to. There's adventures, there's aliens, and there's many goodbyes. And the Ninth Doctor's arc ends perfectly here. He's a man that needed to change, a man that needed to learn to laugh and dance and feel hopeful again. And with the help of Rose, by the end he does. She saved him. So it's poetic that in the end, the last thing he does is save her. And I love his regeneration scene. There's no massive speech or grand gesture, the TARDIS doesn't blow up, it's just very simple, but that doesn't mean it's boring. It's just subtle. And as this would be most viewers' first regeneration, I think it's perfect. It's like the show is holding the audience's hand and guiding them through it. As Rose learns, we learn. As Rose says goodbye, so do we. Series 1 is everything that I love about the Russell T Davies era. It has campiness, spooks, and a lot of heart. It's perfect for all the family, offering something for everyone at a tea time slot. There's a few little hiccups along the way, but nothing offensively bad. It's kind of amazing with how troubled the actual shoot and behind the scenes was that this series is so strong. If you've enjoyed this video, please do subscribe. Next time we're looking at Season 2, which I think has one of the worst episodes of the show. And no, it's not Love and Monsters.